When it comes to comedy series, especially abridged productions, there's one series that stands near and dear to my heart. Team 4 Star's Dragon Ball Z Abridged. I may not have grown up with DBZ in the 90s, like roughly 75% of the hardcore fandom, but I know enough about it to consider myself a hardcore fan, so to speak, even though my first exposure to the series was through Dragon Ball Kai in 2011 as a teenager. With this background info in mind, there's one character out of the abridged series that sticks out to me. Usually, when Team 4 Star gets a character, they'll exaggerate or create an abridged version of the character, hence the moniker Abridged Series. For the majority of the characters in the DBZ Abridged series, TFS simply exaggerated their already existing character traits, such as in the case of Son Goku, where they made him a complete idiot and obsessed with muffins, while keeping his tactical ingenuity intact. But there's one character that TFS does not do this with, and it works so well. That character, assuming you paid attention to the title of this video, is Future or Mirai Trunks. Future Trunks, within Akira Toriyama's original manga, is a tortured character. He is perhaps the most damaged character out of the entire Dragon Ball franchise, and it's all due to his heartbreaking and emotional backstory. Within Toriyama's manga, we're given hints of Trunks' background, that the warriors of Earth were hunted down one by two maniacal artificial humans, or androids in the English dub, following Son Goku's death from an unexpected, incurable heart disease. A later work by Toriyama, entitled Trunks the Story, elaborates a bit further on these events, by showing that Trunks and Gohan are humanity's last line of defense against the Terminator wannabes. Trunks grew up in this post-apocalyptic future, having no idea who Goku or even his father Vegeta were, aside from stories told to him by his mother Bulma and his mentor the aforementioned Gohan, the sole survivor of the bloody artificial human onslaught. It's only a matter of time before Trunks loses Gohan to the mechanical baddies, triggering his transformation into a Super Saiyan. At this point, Trunks has lost everything, and at least in the original DBZ, he doesn't outstay his welcome. He comes back from the future, trains, helps the present heroes defeat Cell, and regains his own timeline by finally bringing an end to the reign of the androids. In a way, Trunks' backstory, upon reflection, provides him with a significant amount of sympathy from the audience. We've seen just how horrible it is for him within both the manga and anime adaptations. As much as I respect Toriyama's work, as he is the original creator of the franchise, the anime version of the backstory, the History of Trunks TV special, is a vast improvement over Trunks the Story, the original manga version. Released in America in October of 2000, the History of Trunks TV special expanded upon Trunks the Story, which Mr. Fusion has a great video about if anyone's curious, the link to which will be in the description box below. The special shows the process and character progression that Trunks the Story failed to do, by expanding the scope of the original work and focusing almost exclusively on the relationship between Gohan and Trunks. It also shows Gohan's last stand against the artificial humans, which ends in his tragic demise, leading to Trunks losing it and finally achieving the Super Saiyan power that he craved for so long. In fact, when Gohan dies at the hands of the artificial humans, it's a punch to the gut for the audience as much as it is for Trunks himself, since we've spent roughly an hour of watch time getting attached to this version of Gohan. However, a lot of people, Mr. Fusion included, like to decry the special showing of Gohan's last stand, deeming it unnecessary. But I think it's great. It provides the audience with the aforementioned gut punch moment, when the character himself finally succumbs, showing us the true hopelessness of the situation that Trunks finds himself in. With all this in mind, the character of Trunks himself is a no smiles, straight to the point kind of guy, even in moments of downtime with the main cast. He really doesn't joke, he doesn't make light of the situation. He also isn't afraid to fight dirty if the situation calls for it. He'll do anything to get the job done. All of these are a result of his upbringing, as he was constantly fighting for his life and for others around him as Earth's last defense, particularly after the death of Gohan. In fact, the only time he acts out of character to a point is when he's fighting Perfect Cell and thinks that he can win, which he is completely justified in doing given the situation that he's in at the time. With that in mind, let's see how the guys at Team 4-Star handled and paid respect to Trunks as a character in their version of the series. In the TFS version, there's usually a character trait or cliché that they can apply to any of the characters of their show. Vegeta, for example, has his Saiyan pride, which in and of itself was already an issue in the original version, turned up to 11 in the TFS one. And once it's cranked up to 11, the dial does not come back down. Trunks, though, well, there isn't really anything there to exaggerate. Not only that, but it would be pretty out of character for Trunks to engage in banter or crack jokes in the middle of a life or death struggle. As a result, the Trunks in the Team 4-Star version is mostly a one-for-one lifting of the original character. There really isn't a bridging to be done with Trunks in the Team 4-Star version because there's nothing to make fun of or deprecate regarding the original character. If anything, having him crack jokes or giving him some goofy gimmick like they do a lot of the other characters would have been significantly out of place. I've spent most of this analysis talking about Trunks' backstory and comparing it to his TFS counterpart. Now, for this final part, I'll be talking about how Trunks impacted me and why he's possibly my favorite shonen protagonist of all time. Cast your minds back, if you will, to February of 2011. I'm roughly 14 at this time, and I'm watching DBZ Kai on Nickelodeon. I see Trunks show up, become a Super Saiyan, and annihilate both Frieza and King Cold with ease. At this point, my 14-year-old self was left thinking, oh my gosh, that was awesome. I then see Trunks annihilate the androids in his own timeline. Around this time, I had also begun collecting and reading the Dragon Ball manga, reading Trunks the Story soon after. Trunks the Story impacted me immensely because of the hopeless situation that it presented for the two main protagonists, Gohan and Trunks, in the post-apocalyptic future timeline. A couple years later, in 2013, I was a sophomore in high school. I wasn't exactly the most social guy. In fact, I was deemed an outcast for being the Christian of my class, was turned down at every opportunity when it came to making friends within that graduating class, and was deemed, quote, uncool by the majority of my peers. Around that time, the final episode of the Cell Saga of Kai aired, entitled Peace for the Future. The spirit of Goku is forever. This was the, at the time, final episode of Kai, before the Buu Saga would receive the Kai treatment 4 years later in 2017. Within this episode, Trunks returns to his future timeline and wipes out both the artificial humans and future Cell, finally bringing peace to his future. What a poetic title. At the time that episode aired, I was going through a lot. People were laughing at me left and right, I was being ridiculed for my Christian faith, and I had extremely low self-esteem. But by watching Trunks, as well as the rest of the main cast, overcome their limits and the challenges presented to them, It gave me the ability and the courage to rise above. Despite the limits that were being placed on me by my peers, I can prove that I'm more than just a guy with ADHD, a chronic leg disease, and a massive case of stage fright. I can improve. I can be better. I can overcome the limits that they placed on me. Those lessons were immensely useful, and in my opinion, were one of the many things that kept me from going under during that troubling time. Trunks was, and is, my favorite shonen protagonist. Terrible sequel storylines which feature him aside, because of his determination to fight to the end, his serious demeanor, his ethical outlook, but most importantly, his selfless fighting spirit. He'll fight for those he loves, and will fight on to the bitter end, regardless of the sacrifices he has to make in that process. There really isn't a character as brutal, damaged, or compelling as Mirai Trunks, and in a way, that makes him more human. How appropriate then, with Trunks himself being the byproduct of Vegeta, a Saiyan warrior, and Bulma, a human woman. Trunks is the only character who's all business, who always has the mission on the brain, and who never backs down. He saves 2 timelines and fights selflessly to the very end. In these ways, Mirai Trunks is certainly a hero of time. Friends, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and if not, feel free to give it a thumbs down, as well as a comment below. Until next time, I've been DragonFist900, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, and God bless.